So this session is about the Perusall social annotation tool and how it's integrated into Brightspace. And thought we would start just briefly by talking a little bit about social annotation and why it is useful or how it can be useful. Um, I used the Perusall annotation tools in my course over the summer. So for those of you who haven't used it in the past, I wanted to just go through that as an example to show, what you can do with it. And then we'll talk about what are the steps for setting up your course to be connected to Perusall and how you start building your course library and how to set up assignments, and then how to get those assignments to show up in your Brightspace course. So this will be somewhat show and tell. It's a short period of time, and we're not all together in the lab, so it's not really going to be a hands-on help session. But I just want to kind of walk through the steps so that it's kind of familiar to you, and you can see how you could incorporate that into your course. I like the social annotation aspect because of a couple of different reasons. Um, Basically, all of the resources that I provide to my students in Perusall, I could just post them in my Brightspace course, and I could tell my students, go look at these and read through them, and take your notes, put questions together, and we'll talk about them when we get into class. Uh, the social annotation functionality allows your students to be together in the resource and to make comments directly on the resource. I mean, I could post a reading, then I could have a discussion forum, and I could say, let's use this discussion forum to talk about this reading. But the reading's over here, and the discussion's taking place over here. The nice thing about social annotation is that the discussion takes place right within the course resource. And it's social, meaning as one student annotates an article, asks a question, or puts in a comment, or makes a link on one part of the reading to some web resource, those annotations also show up to other students in the course, and they can build on each other's annotations. It's a way to, I think, more fully engage our students with the resources that we want them to engage with in order to be able to do what we want them to do in class. And so that's why I've been excited about Perusall for a number of years now. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I want to first show what it looks like in my course from the summer so that you get, for those of you who have not looked at Perusall at all, you get a feel for how it works. And then we'll go through the steps of setting it up for your course. So share, actually make sure that I am where I want to be. Space home. Okay, so let me share my screen now. In standout mode. Okay, so you should be seeing our Brightspace landing page. Go over into my browser. So this summer I did my Search for Life in the Universe course. And if you look at most of the units that I have in my course, I have deployed the readings as this Perusall external learning tool. Now, this I could have just told students go into the text that we've got for the course and read chapter 3, and that's what we're going to be working on in this module. This is my asynchronous online course. So whatever we could do to really kind of engage students is important, rather than just say, go read this and then post to the discussion forum. The way that I really recommend that you access Perusall from your Brightspace course is through the Course Tools option. Under Course Tools, there is a Perusall option. And what this will do is it will open up a new browser window and will point you to a course space at Perusall which matches your Brightspace course. It corresponds. And so in this case, I already have this existing Perusall space. So if I go to Course Tools and select Perusall, it will drop me into my Perusall course space. And you can see that you have the ability to build up a library of materials. And those materials can be, um, if you are going to have a required text for your course, I'd actually recommend that you have students access it through the Perusall rather than, well, you can have them buy the book in the textbook as well, in the bookstore as well. But Perusall has worked with publishers to make a huge catalog of materials available. And I actually found a book on astrobiology. This is a Yale University Press book from only 5 or 6 years ago that was available for $2.99 in the catalog. And so by having the textbook in your Perusall library, you can actually create annotation assignments around the textbook. And students can go into chapter 3 all together and they can put comments on chapter 3 that they can see, which is a big advantage over just having a textbook that they bought from Amazon or from the bookstore. Anyway, you can you can add textbooks, you can upload PDFs or Word documents or PowerPoint presentations, other documents that you are wanting to provide to your students. You can upload them into your Perusall library, and then those materials would be available for annotation activities. You can direct students to web pages in your course, but if you do it through Perusall, Perusall will actually take a snapshot of that web page, bring it into your library, and therefore you don't have to worry about that web page disappearing in the future. And because Perusall has a snapshot of it, you can again put it into assignments um, that allows students to comment on it. Web video, you can bring into your Perusall library. Let me show you an example of that. Here. So there are these YouTube videos on Introduction to Astrobiology that are available through Open Education Edinburgh. I captured those into my course library, and if I look at one of these and actually open it up, you can see that students have, as they're watching the video, have stopped the video and added comments at various points along the video. So you have much more robust in context discussions about video resources by bringing them into your Perusall library. And so, yeah, there's just all sorts of different resources you can use to build up your library. And then you can basically create assignments um, around those materials And Perusall will do a number of things. It can use artificial intelligence to do some automatic scoring of students' interaction with those resources and provide various kinds of analytics. And on top of the automatic scoring, you can go in and say, no, here are the scores that I actually want to give my students. So it's a very powerful platform. Every course in Brightspace that you associate with Perusall generates a Perusall course space. And here at the top, you can see this was created from Desire to Learn Brightspace LTI 1.3. Now, I've used Brightspace, I've used Perusall in the past. If I go outside of my Perusall space for this one specific course, I can see other archived courses that I have created off of Moodle courses or other experiences. And so, yeah. So it looks like I was going to do this from scratch, but it looks like I already created the link from my sandbox course here into into Perusall. So I'm going to close Perusall down here and go back to Brightspace Home. Let me stop sharing for just a minute here and see, are there any kind of questions about um, social annotation or what Perusall is all about? Okay.
Sorry, Keith, can you repeat the question? I was reading Mary.
Oh, no, Marie, are there any questions in the chat that we want to deal
Uh,
with at this point?
No. Does it work well for over 20 students?
Yeah, you've got a couple of options. Say you've got a course with 60 students in it. Um, you can imagine that if 60 students are all making comments on the same YouTube video or on the same three-page PDF that you've uploaded, it's going to get kind of messy. Perusall, you can specify what kind of groups you would want for your students. Perusall has, by definition, an ideal social annotation group size of 20. So if you've got 60 students in your course, when they go into Perusall, um, Perusall is automatically going to separate them into three groups of 20, unless you say, no, I want groups of 15, or I want everyone in one group of 60. You can specify that, but it does kind of manage by default the conversation size. And so that the annotations doesn't get unmanageable. And actually, if you do have a class with 60 students in it, the fact that Perusall is tracking how often are students coming in to look at the resources? Are they coming in multiple times? How much time are they spending? Are they making comments that are triggering other questions? And the fact that Perusall will give a preliminary automatic score to all of your 60 students that you can just go in and verify and say, no, I think Susan actually did a better job on here. I want to bump her score up. That really helps um, take some of the burden off of providing feedback and scoring over when you do have a large course. So I think there's some advantages there. Um, Let me just go ahead.
A quick question before you get into
Sure.
the demo. Megan asks, she's planning to use Perusall this semester. Are there any issues or challenges you've encountered? Any downsides?
Um, Not downsides. You need to know what materials you want to make available, and you should all be aware of Perusall's business model and pricing structure. We don't have a site-wide license for Perusall, Their goal is to, this is a product that was developed out at Harvard, and the faculty there really like this platform for supporting social annotation. So they've spun it off. They really want to make Perusall available. No ads, no investors. They don't sell your data, all of that stuff. They obviously have to have some way of making money, and the big way that they make money is by faculty adopting titles that are in the catalog. They have worked with dozens of publishers to make their titles available through Perusall, and that is the main funding source to keep this project running, to keep this project going. You do not have to use a text from the Perusall catalog. You can just upload your own PDFs, or you can link to web pages or YouTube videos or whatever. They do request that you at least consider charging a small access fee if you're not going to use a text, but it's not required. And so this page that describes the pricing structure, um, you know, provides some discussion around how to provide long-term support for this product. But if you are just planning to upload open educational materials and other public domain materials, um, you can but don't have to um, assign a small access fee, which will help support the product going forward. So with that, let me talk about how to set this up. So since I've already made the association in Sandbox 2, let me go to Sandbox Course 3. And your first step, actually, let me create a content area, Unit 1. Okay, so I have at least one course module in the course. Again, I would recommend your primary way of making your connection to Perusall is just through the Perusall link under Course Tools. That will drop you into a brand new empty course. And you have the option of starting with an empty course or copying an existing course. In this case, I don't have a previous Sandbox course that I want to copy into this, so I'll say start with an empty course. And I will click continue. And here is where you could find your textbook and make it available. And so I'm going to search astrobiology in the description. And here is that textbook I found. If I click on this, it is Yale University Press. It is from 2017, I believe. Yeah, I went back and forth between what descriptions I got in Perusall and what I could pull up in Amazon. It's actually the Amazon price is more than $2.99 for some reason. But the book itself can't be downloaded and so forth. And um, I would have just say, where is it? Where is my button for selecting? Well, I actually didn't want to select a commercial text for this workshop course anyway. So I'm going to click out of here, go on to continue. Oh, actually, I did select it. Um, If I hadn't selected it, there would be a little slider here for adopting a price. I think the default is like $15, which is a fairly standard access fee that you oftentimes see on a course that's using open educational resources, for example. In this case, because I've selected a text, they're not even presenting that screen. So I'll click continue, and then here are some basic settings for your course. You would want to make sure that the start and end date on your Perusall course match up with your Brightspace course. You can tell Perusall, no, disable the grading. I want to um, manually grade. Or disable the grading, but tell me what the analytics are, so it makes it easier for me to grade, or I can disable analytics. The default here is Perusall will monitor engagement of students with the various assignments and will put in an initial score, which that you can then override. You can put into your enrollment estimate. So if you do have a large course, if your enrollment estimate is 40 students, you can stick with the default target group size of 20. You can make that larger, you can make that smaller. And so if we continue, now your course is ready to go. So by ready to go, it means you can begin building up course content. And so you can upload a document. You can link to a web page. You can go over here and find, yes, astrobiology. I can find the homepage here for NASA astrobiology. And that's not actually the best page for doing this, but I'll just put it in anyway. And click OK. It'll show up here as a web page capture in progress. I can upload a document from my computer. So here's a recent news story that I saved. I could have entered this in as a Word document, as a web link. I could I can access my Google Drive to bring things over. I can access my Dropbox. I can put in a web video. So let me go over and put in the URL for this web video. And click OK. And Perusall is processing these resources, and then we'll eventually add them to your library. You can also create folders to organize materials, and while that's working, I think what I will do is come over here. Under getting started, there is some basic settings that we talked about. The title of your the department for your course, the start and end date, how you want to sync things to your gradebook in Brightspace. but there is another more detailed settings area over here that we won't go into in all of its details. You can invite other instructors. You can bring in teaching assistants. Here we've got the grouping information again. I just want to say a couple of things under scoring here. You can determine the default assignment score for Perusall assignments are 0 to 3 points. I don't necessarily like that. I would make it out of 5 or 10 points. You can determine when students can see those scores. Because I'm generally having student Perusall doing a algorithmic initial scoring, and I want to be able to review those scores before they're released to students. I will only release the scores manually into the Perusall gradebook, which will then allow them to be synced to my Brightspace gradebook. You can specify how and when items are synced from Perusall into um, your Brightspace gradebook. What I really want to focus on here is the automatic scoring. Because again, this is algorithmic, artificial intelligence kind of scoring. It has a whole variety of presets that you can specify. Do you want the scoring only to be based on the content, the comments that students put on the content, or do you want something more holistic? So the default here is 60% of the score comes from the content, the comments that students put on. Are they comments that are meaningful? It's not just yeah, I think so too. That's not going to get a student much of a score as adding to the content. But students also get scores for just opening the assignment, reading to the end, how often, how long they're actively engaged with the material, whether their comments and questions generate responses from other students, whether their comments are voted up by students, and so forth. If you notice, these percentages add up to way more than 100%. So this holistic grading gives students a lot of different ways of getting full credit on the annotation assignment. You can, you know, focus on reading and watching instead, and those defaults change. You can focus on social engagement, and more weight is given to whether or not students are adding comments that are generating other comments. This holistic, as I said, is the default. Comment on the content only, then 100% is based on the quality and number of comments that students make on the material. Okay, so look through these. You can start out with one of these defaults and then manually adjust each one of them in turn to come up with an automatic algorithmic scoring of the comments that most approaches what you want to do in the course. Okay. There's also some integrity options. If there are duplicate comments that are showing up on the assignments, Perusall will automatically flag those for you to review to make sure when students paste in content from outside of Perusall, that might be something that you want to have Perusall flag for you so that you can pay more special attention to those comments. And you can actually even have turn it in, except that we're not configured to integrate turn it in with Perusall. So that's some of these settings, if I go back to course home and look at the library, you see those resources that I had Perusall create are now available for creating assignments around. If I go, for example, to this web video, I could I could create an assignment here from the resource, or I could go to assignments and I could add a new assignment and a standard assignment, and I'll call it web video assignment, and then click next step. And then what's the content that I want to assign? Well, I want to assign this video. And the only option I have with the video is to assign all the content. If this were the textbook, I could assign a particular chapter. If it were a long PDF, I could assign particular pages. And you can add multiple parts. Say you want to have an assignment where students are looking at, the first couple of pages of one PDF document, and then compare that to points that are made in another document. You could have those as separate parts within one Perusall assignment. Go to the next step. You can put in any kind of special instructions. Pause the video and comment at least 4 times. That's not a very good instruction, but you get the point. You can assign to the whole class or to specific groups, and go to the next step. And let me go back. Oh, and you can specify when the assignment becomes available. And when it is due. And click OK. Please select the deadline. So I missed the deadline. Submission deadline. Here's what I wanted. So it is due, first week in September at the end of the day. And now I can go through and click OK. And I have created an assignment. Let me go back into edit the settings, and I'm going to remove. I'm just going to make it available right away so that we can use it in the workshop here. Okay, so that is creating the connection to Perusall. It is some comments on how you can assemble materials in Perusall and how to create assignments. The last thing is to actually have those assignments show up in your Brightspace course. And so I'm going to go back here into Brightspace, and I'm going to go into this first unit. And I want the Brightspace assignment to show up as a link here in this unit so that when students are working on Unit 1, they know they have to click through into Brightspace to work on this activity. And so under the existing activities pull-down menu, there is a Perusall assignment link. And you've got some different options here. Since I've created this assignment, let me just select video assignment. I want to import the assignment instructions from Perusall into Brightspace, and I click link to this assignment, and the LTI will create I'll link here to the assignment in Perusall, and we'll pull over the instructions that I had placed in that assignment. And if I or if students click on this link, it will open up in a new tab, and we'll go right into the assignment. And here I can um, start the assignment, or can start the video, go over here.
World.
And probably did not, you're probably not hearing the video,
other speculations
but
that are
you
just as
can,
remarkable.
as students are
In the
viewing the
16th
video,
century, during the
you click
Renaissance,
add comment, and the video will pause, and the student can put in their comment. Okay. So let's go back to course content. If I hadn't created the assignment yet, I could go to Perusall assignment link, and I could actually create a new assignment right on the fly here through the LTI integration. You could also set up a non-graded link to an item in your Perusall library. So if I just wanted students to view the video without treating it as an assignment, I could link that material in this way. Students would still be able to go into that video in Perusall, and they'd be able to watch it, they'd be able to pause it, they'd be able to add comments, but it would not be treated as an assignment in Perusall, and it would not be pushed forward into the Brightspace gradebook. So at this point, let me stop sharing. Marie, do we have any questions?
Question from Maria regarding quizzes in Perusall. Do they need to be part of a reading, or can you add questions? And can you show an example of this?
Yeah, good question, Marie. I've never used quizzes in Perusall, so let's walk the tightrope without a net here. So let me go back to sharing and include the sound, and hear this, and here's this, and there's my course. So actually I already have my Perusall course space opened up. So let's go under library, and one of the items under library is to add a quiz. And build a quiz from scratch. You add a question. So yeah, I mean, you can create quizzes here in your Perusall course, and these quizzes would be scored, and they would go into the Perusall gradebook. I'm not, I think this would be a useful function if you are just using Perusall as your whole course management system, right? I think that's the reason um, why they have the ability to add quizzes here, because some faculty will just log in at Perusall, not going through the LMS. They will create a course space, they will upload materials, they will create assignments, and those faculty want to have an ability to, quiz students. There's no need to add discussion forums because the discussions are all taking place around the resources. And the assignments are there and can be pumped right into the Perusall gradebook. I really get the feeling that the reason why Perusall has a quiz option is because there are faculty who are doing everything in Perusall, and they're not using Brightspace or Moodle or Blackboard or anything like that for their course. What I'd recommend, since we are accessing Perusall through Brightspace, um, your Brightspace, your quizzes in Brightspace are going to be much better integrated into your Brightspace gradebook than quizzes in Perusall, and so I'd recommend doing your quizzing there. I mean, does that seem reasonable? Okay. So, Leandro, question.
Quick question, Keith. I'm thinking of replacing the discussion forums with social annotation, but I usually assign like one broad question about the reading in general. In your experience using for readings, I mean, I try not to ask something in particular in page 23, right?
Right.
So read the whole text and answer this. But I would love my students to comment on something.
Yeah.
Probably they
So let me
won't
ask.
if I don't ask them to do it. So in your experience, what works best for you?
Right. So it's really a question of for this Uber question on the reading. Do you want that to be something? There are several ways you could handle that. I want everyone to read this, and I want them to think deeply about this big question, and I want them to phrase their responses to that. You could have them submit that to you as an assignment. You could have them go to a discussion forum and debate that in Brightspace. Um, if you move it into social annotation, you can still, in the instructions, phrase that overall question. But the commenting is going to be much more targeted to specific aspects of the reading. The natural commenting, the natural social annotation would be much more targeted for um, that let's work through this resource together and and comment on and ask questions about points that are being made as the author is working through this argument. If you do want an overall discussion about the reading in as a whole, you might still want to do that as a discussion forum in Brightspace. I would say that the social annotation is very good for having your students collaborate on close reading, right? That the author's saying this at this point. What I'm getting out of this is this, or I find it useful to think about this in terms of here, or this passage reminds me of this website that I want to link in here so that as other students are reading this, they can be directed to this website. So yeah, I think the social annotation really is geared toward collaborative, close reading of your materials. And and I use close reading because we're talking about, uploading an article, but it could be commenting on a web video. You can upload a picture. And this is something that I've not had the need to do, but if I were teaching art history course, I could upload an image as the document um, into the library. Then you can create an assignment that is not select this bit of text and make a comment on it, but is uh, select this part of the image and make a comment on it. And so, yeah, it really is focused on that kind of close analysis of resources.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I like I said, I have appreciated the affordances that Perusall provides us as instructors, and I've been looking at it. I've been working with it for a number of years. We've had it in Moodle for a long time. I know that a lot of faculty do really uh, use it to really foster this close analysis and social analysis of various course resources. If you have questions around Perusall, this is likely something that you're not going to get a lot of help with from the SUNY Online Help Desk. Is that your impression, Marie?
That's true. They will kick it immediately to local. So yes, if you have questions about Perusall, you could contact us at tltc@purchase.edu.
Yeah. Probably the same thing with VoiceThread as what we're talking about in the next session.
Exactly.
So, but I think it provides a lot of opportunities. And so make use of it. It is still free. We don't have to worry about any licensing. I do encourage you, if you are using a textbook for your course, to incorporate that into your Perusall library, because then you can actually have that close reading, that collaborative close reading of the textbook within the Perusall environment, which you really can't do if students are just individually getting textbooks either through Amazon or the bookstore or whatever dark site they're downloading stuff from. Okay, let me stop the recording.
Thank you so much, Keith, Marie.